pressing, not blitzing right now.
Going no huddle again.
Jordan
As in Michael doing the free throw looking shot.
Okay, so who wants
Is
to
there a
go
way to
first?
see everybody at once? Okay, yeah.
I actually can see you guys at once.
I can go first. Nobody wants to go first.
All right, Nate, go ahead.
All right. So my
Wow,
topic,
Bro, I love your background, by the way. How the fuck did you get that train to move?
it was just like a design idea.
Really? That's cool.
Is that
Oh,
that's
this is
New
on
York,
PowerPoint, though, right?
It's New York, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, go, bro. You go.
Ohio State. It's good.
So mine was on Kobe Bryant's career, but this is pre 2005. So this
Alright.
this is until Shaq left.
So does it include the first year that Shaq was gone?
It includes everything from 95, even though Kobe didn't play 95, up to 2005.
What year did Shaq leave? Which one? So this is the first season he had without Shaq too included, correct?
So the last year I covered is the last year Shaq's on the team.
Okay.
All right. So basically, I broke it down into like two major eras. One I call pre-Mamba. This is when Kobe is not Mamba yet. And then there's post-Mamba or current Mamba, which is when he becomes Kobe Bryant. So just to go over what happened in 95 and 96.
Okay.
I didn't know this when I first researched it. I thought the Lakers were terrible, which is how they got Kobe. I know they got him in a trade, but I thought he was like, I didn't know how they got him. They were good. Like in 95, they finished fourth in the conference without him. And then in 96, when he got drafted, he came off the bench and they finished fourth again. And they got swept they lost to Utah, but he came off the bench that year. So he didn't have like a crazy start when he first came in the league, which is kind of funny. You usually look like Jordan won Rookie of the Year. LeBron had like 20 points a game when he first started. Kobe came off the bench. So then we get to 97. That's the first year he actually started. So again, the Lakers have been good for years, but at this point, they lost to Utah, who, again, if you don't know, this was also like the Jordan era. So this is when Jordan won in 96, 97, and 98. And 97, 98, Utah went back-to-back to lose to Jordan, but they were the Western Conference Finals both years. So Lakers got swept in 97 and in 98, but at least in 98, they made it to the Western Conference Finals. And then even in 99, they got swept. This is the year that San Antonio won the chip with, what's his name first year, Tim Duncan. So those years, Kobe actually improved greatly. He had 15 points a game, he had 20 points a game, 23 a game, and his shooting field goal percentage went up each year too. And then his assists also went up from 3 to 5 to 6. So this is the years where he becomes a much better player, but he hasn't made the switch yet.
Oh.
And then we get to the Kobe that we know today. And that's from the 2000 to 2004. If you know Mark Jackson, he's got a famous phrase, "Mama, there goes that man." I call these years, "Mama, there goes that man."
Yeah.
So also coinciding, Phil Jackson gets hired in 2000 after the Lakers had been good for so many years, but just like Phil Jackson in Chicago, he got hired to get them over the hump. And that's exactly what he did. They went back to back in 2000, 2001, and 2002, and Kobe kind of unleashed himself onto the field. He had 28 and a half, 25 and a half, and then the final year they won, he had 30 points a game. And Shaq in those years, funny enough, actually was like a second fiddle almost, not in terms of actual usage, but usage he was higher than Kobe. But in terms of actual sheer points per game, he had 28.7, which is a tiny bit higher than Kobe. He had 27.2, which was also a tiny bit higher than Kobe. But in the final year they won, he had 27.2. So a lot of the media speculated that, this is Kobe's team now. Shaq was kind of on he was still in the up and up, not on the up and up, he was still in his prime, but it was kind of the later half of his career.
That's pretty wild. 60 points between two guys over like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. Yeah.
Makes sense why they won back to back.
Yeah.
It was completely dominant. And then we get to 2003. This was the first year they didn't win the finals in 3 years. Kobe kind of had a bad down year, and Shaq really had a down year. He went from 27 to 21. Kobe from 30 to 24. So
Is
a lot
this
of
the year
media
they lost to Detroit?
No, that's the following year. So this is the year they didn't even make the conference finals.
Oh, they lost to San Antonio in the second round or something.
They got
Yeah,
swept by
okay.
San Antonio.
Okay, that's what it was.
So now before we go over my take based on all this information,
Okay.
I just want to go over the triangle offense.
Okay.
If you know about Phil Jackson, this is kind
Yeah.
of his thing.
Mhm.
Basically, it's based on 3-man games. So the idea is you create constant motion, but you want to create constant motion to create triangles on the court.
Okay.
So another really interesting and really important tidbit is that zone defense was banned until 2002.
Ah,
So when they went on their historic run, zone defense was banned for the first 2 years, and then the third year, it was the first year that zone defense was allowed. So teams
Huh.
really didn't utilize zone defense until 2003, which coincidentally is the first year the Lakers really struggled. So before this, the only variation they had on defense was switching on picks and then double teaming or triple teaming. So one of the best things about the triangle offense is that because, especially against man, it creates a lot of spacing and you're always moving the ball and you allow, like, you can create triangles on each side of the field. So we'll go over some of the triangles that are constantly there in a triangle offense. So the middle screen, that's like your typical offense, right? So the guy in the middle, the guy who's got his hands up,
Yeah.
don't pretend he's not there. He's not a player. He's the coach.
Oh,
He's just
gotcha.
kind of the offense.
Yeah.
But the low post guy, that would be Shaq.
Oh,
So he's the guy in the center, and he is the most pivotal person in the triangle offense.
uh,
The guy coming out with the black shirt, that would
Yeah.
be your point guard.
Uh.
So the idea is that if he has several options. The first option, you look at the top right.
yeah.
He kicks the ball out to the wing, which would typically be Kobe, and he
Mhm.
sprints to the corner, and you can see there's a triangle that's formed.
Uh,
And if you look down one screen, that's what it looks like from above. So the guy in orange is the one with the ball, and you see like a triangle that's formed.
Okay.
The one on the left is if it's the ball still on the other side. Basically, the same low post guy, instead of being the point man, he sets a pick on the defender of the wing. So the
Gotcha.
wing, who is a white shirt, will now come around, and you can see in the bottom left, he'll form a triangle on that side.
Hmm.
So that's just explaining the triangle offense. Now let's go over some of the cons. Because it's a lot of motion and it's a lot of ball movement, it can take a lot of time for the play to develop.
Mhm.
And it also requires, this is the most important part, you need an athletic center who can make really smart decisions and create effective screens.
Okay.
So the thing that makes the triangle offense so special is that whoever the post defender is has to do a lot of work. They not only have to guard the guy who's coming around the screen, but they've got to guard the post defender, and they've got to guard the guy who's coming around. And if you think about it, right, if you've already got a lot on your plate by guarding Shaq, and now on top of that, you're the most important defender, the triangle offense is like perfect because you have the most dominant big man maybe of all time, and you have an offense that specializes in low post play.
Okay.
Now we get to the con. The biggest con. Not only does it take a long time, but the zone kind of completely eliminates that huge benefit you have. Because now the post defender doesn't have to think about the other side. He just has to worry about his zone. Because there's going to be somebody else in that zone. So all he has to do is switch over to whatever zone they're doing, and then the defense is fine. So we see that because of the zone defense switch, the Lakers completely were unable to recreate what they did in 2002.
Right.
Now, this is kind of interesting, I thought. In my head, my assumption was, coming into this was, oh, Kobe's usage rate went way up, Shaq's went way down, right? Actually, that wasn't really the case. Like, if you look at Kobe's usage rate, it stayed pretty consistent over all it actually went down post-zone defense versus championship years. And you look at Shaq's,
Oh, really?
same thing. Yeah, which is,
I didn't expect that actually. Yeah.
I didn't expect that either.
Uh-huh.
So, and
I'm sorry,
interesting
you're
enough,
saying Kobe's went down?
usage rate.
Oh, here it says 29 to 32. Is that
Yeah, so in the years they won the rings, his usage rate was 32%, 30%, and 33%.
Oh, I'm
In
sorry.
the-
Got you. I
in
get
the
it now. I was reading it
Mhm.
wrong.
Once a zone was implemented, it actually went down to 29. And 32 is still lower than what it was in 33.
Right.
And ironically, Shaq is the same thing. You would expect, if Kobe goes down, the Shaq should go up, right? No, Shaq's went down too. Actually, Shaq's went down a lot. He went from 30 to 26, which is like actually a significant amount.
Yeah.
And what I also found interesting, both of their true shooting percentage went up in the zone years. The only key difference is Shaq's effective field goal percentage went up, whereas Kobe's went significantly down. It actually was the lowest of his career. And you think about it, so the difference between effective shooting and true percentage is like your complete scoring ability. It's like your free throw percentage, your 3-point percentage, all that. Whereas effective is just your shooting. And that's kind of my key point. Kobe's shooting was the biggest reason why the Lakers dynasty kind of ended. So in summary, here's my take. with implementation of zone defense, the greatest strength of the triangle offense was mitigated. Not you couldn't take any open shots, and as a result, Kobe kind of pressed, and a lot of times he shot his team out of games. So while the Mamba mentality was super important for the run, it was also the biggest reason why the Lakers had a downfall. And just to show like my reasoning behind this take, one, you can look at the numbers of the 2004 NBA Finals. Shaq went off like 27 a game to 11 rebounds on 63%. That is actually like if that was the number today, that's an MVP. And you look at the Pistons game plan, they manned Shaq 101, which was actually kind of interesting. But because they did this, they were able to play zone on Kobe. So basically, their plan was coming in was let Shaq get his. We want to make the Lakers give the ball to Shaq because we know. And I'll show you the quote. This is I think the most telling thing. This is Chauncey Billups talking about what they did. He said, "We knew we were going to play Shaq straight up. We knew there was no way to stop Shaq straight up. But if we were able to play Shaq straight up, the Lakers' eyes were going to get big, which means they're going to keep throwing the ball down there." Basically, he's saying, "Hey, the Lakers see that the Shaq's getting 1-on-1, so they're going to keep feeding him the ball, which is the right basketball decision. But as a result, Mr. Bryant is going to get a little discouraged with getting no touches. And now the second half comes along, and now he's pressing. He's going to come down and start breaking the offense." And just the summary, the media narrative coming into this year was Kobe was trying to show that it was his team. As a result, you saw what Chauncey Billups said, and then you look at his numbers. 38% shooting, which is terrible, on 22 a game. The Mamba mentality was the reason the Lakers dynasty ended. And I know this might sound like a lot of Kobe hate. At the end of the day, yes, I do think this is the reason the Lakers dynasty ended. But him mastering the triangle offense is also the reason why the dynasty picked back up in the later years. But that's a video for a different day.
All right, was that conclusion of your take?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Eli, do you want to respond first?
I guess, yeah, I do have a question. So for both of you guys, do you think that like his struggles, Kobe's struggles were more his age, or do you think they were more related to like the strategy? Like, do you think if zone defense was allowed earlier in his career, he would find ways to get over it easier?
Maybe, but I think it was more the fact that he was young and he was coming in with this mentality. Like, this is my team. I've got to be the one to make us win. So like Chauncey Billups said, like, hey, we're gonna give Shaq 1-on-1, which is like almost a guaranteed. If you look at the effective, what is it called? What is it called in Eli? It's like a statistics term where it's like your expected value. You look at the expected value, 60. He's averaging over a point possession, which is like kind of insane. So all you got to do is give the ball to Shaq, and you're going to get like 110, 115 points a game. I think they averaged like 70 points a game that's like 80, 70. It was a super low scoring finals. That's because Kobe kept getting the ball and trying to shoot.
Yeah, that same mentality that like motivates so many people and helped the Lakers so early on, I guess, yeah, shot him in the foot here.
Mm-hmm.
It's also what ended their dynasty afterwards too. When like older Kobe, 2010, 11, he's the one who, got injured. They said he's the reason they're going down. No, so yeah, I can definitely see it. Okay, let me ask you guys a question though, right? And this is gonna get into my not takeaway. I see Nate's takeaway, and I actually like agree with it a lot. But let me ask you guys a quick question, right? The Mamba mentality ending the Lakers dynasty, is that good or bad for the Lakers?
So that's a good question. I guess the only way to answer that is to ask another question, and that is, would Shaq have stayed if it was his team?
Okay, but did you need Shaq to stay? Like let me ask you this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I don't know how to put it. Okay, so something I remember about and really did make me gain a little bit of respect for Kobe. And I remember this. I didn't do any research for this topic in particular, but I remember when I was looking into my Tim Duncan versus Shaquille O'Neal thing. That I will, we'll do that another day. But I remember that and I don't think you. I think you did. The reason I was asking, like, is the year Shaq left included in this? The reason I asked that is because after Shaq left, he
went off.
Who?
Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe went off. Kobe went ballistic. The thing is, like, a lot of people held this like notion that, okay, like Kobe Bryant is not like his numbers are going to go down because usually when a great number one leaves, the next guy, one of two things is going to happen. If you want to keep up that same effectiveness, you're going to have to take less shots, meaning less points. Because like if you want to keep up that same like field goal percentage, you're going to have to pass off the ball more and just have trust people around you. Or if you want to score the same, that field goal percentage is going to go down because you're going to have to take more tougher shots. Like you're going to have to force a little bit more. Not only did his points go up by 8 points because he went from 27 to 35, his
Mhm.
field goal percentage went up. Kobe thrived as a number one. So like, I don't know. I think that with Shaq leaving and Kobe actually getting full on, no doubt, the keys to this team, I think that was a good thing for him. And that's what really led to him to becoming like who we know today as like a lot of people would say. I think most people would agree he's a top 10 player. Some would say top 5. So like,
Mhm.
so I actually think that it's a good thing that this happened. And my thing with Shaq is like, I don't know. A lot of people love Shaq. He also had a lot of teammates who didn't like him. So I don't know. I think that
True.
at the end of the day, this is something that is like, yeah, it is what ended them, and it is good for them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The-
And my other thing
The
is,
only counter, can I make a quick counter?
yeah, go. My bad. I'm
Uh,
rambling. Go.
No, you can continue your point. I just want to say, what was the Lakers' record that year, and what did Shaq do that year? The
Shaq-
year.
So Shaq and Kobe both that year made first team All NBA,
Mhm.
and they were both in that MVP discussion with Steve Nash.
Yeah.
Like both of them, all three of them
Yeah.
were in an MVP discussion. No one thought Steve Nash should have won it. Funny enough,
Mhm.
that's like what was the funniest thing about
Nash,
it.
what did Nash? So Kobe averaged 35, and Nash won the MVP over that year.
Yeah, I think he averaged
18
15 assists.
Yeah. No, but,
So what was it?
my other point is like the records. Like, what did Shaq end up doing that year, and what did Kobe end up doing that year?
I don't remember what the Lakers did. I know the Heat made the playoffs and Shaq was in the MVP discussion. I don't know what the Lakers record was, to be honest.
I correct me if I'm wrong. I think I think Shaq got a ring.
No, it wasn't that year.
Was it the next year?
Yeah, because Shaq left, and then the year after is so it was 1 year with Shaq, and because I think it was actually 2 years after, because I'm pretty sure Shaq's first 2 years in Miami, he made first team All NBA both those years. But then the year he won a ring, he was third team All NBA. I'm pretty sure on that. I could be wrong though.
So this
What-
is the 2005 season. Shaq won the ring. 2005, 2006.
2005.
But when did he leave?
I thought it was 2004.
Oh, I can't minimize this meeting. Okay. Hold on, give me a second.
You might be right.
I don't think he won it the year he left. That's the thing.
So the one thing that I don't like about like looking this
Oh,
up.
so okay, hold on. That's the thing. The 2004 NBA Finals, that's from the 2003 season though.
Okay, yeah, that I always get confused with like,
Yeah. That's why I was like being like little like so this after this is when Shaq left. He got a year in Miami MVP discussion. The year after that, he averaged 17, 7, and 2, which isn't that great, but like he's still having an impact in other ways, right? But I'm sorry, what was the question we were talking about? Oh, what did they do? Yeah, so Shaq won a ring 2 years after. Kobe didn't for a while until he led them to 3 straight finals and won 2 of them.
Yeah.
Told him.
and that's what Marcus Gasol and Wood came too, who was also an All-Star.
Yeah, they traded for Marc Gasol. A lot of people didn't like that trade because they thought he was a little bit of a push around.
Mhm.
But my other thing is like, I get the Mamba mentality is what ended them, but I don't know. Like, I agree with that, right? My one thing for Kobe though that really does signify as important is, and again, like we're gonna go deep in this when we get into a different debate about Tim Duncan versus Shaq. In those Tim Duncan versus Shaq series, sorry, the Lakers versus Spurs series, in that span of this, Kobe era, they played 5 times in the playoffs. 5 times they played in the playoffs. The Lakers won 3 of them. Spurs won 2. But the thing that I found interesting, a big reason I love Tim Duncan is, I think Tim Duncan outscored Shaq 3-2 in those series.
Mhm.
But every single time, the same top 3 scorers were the same in every single one of them. Shaq, Tim Duncan, Kobe. Kobe was the biggest reason why they got that 3-2 advantage and why the Lakers dynasty actually happened, in my opinion. That's where it comes from for me and why he's one of the greatest number 2s of all time.
Yeah, you said Kobe is the biggest reason, or the biggest reason besides Shaq?
I think Shaq was better, but I don't think the Lakers dynasty happens without Kobe. Like, I think if there's no Kobe,
What
I
about
think they
without
get 1
Shaq?
ring. Huh?
What about without Shaq?
What about him?
Like, do they win a ring without Shaq?
Do they win a ring without? No, they don't win a ring without Shaq,
Oh.
and I think they get 1 ring without Kobe.
So you're saying the biggest reason, like not including Shaq?
Yes. So the reason they were able to get past them while having Shaq, the reason Shaq got through Tim Duncan 3 out of 5 times is because of Kobe. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. So Shaq's the number 1 reason. He's the best player on the team. But what was going on? Oh, but I think Kobe being there really is the reason. Like Shaq, a big part of the reason why Shaq's legacy is so great.
Cool with that.
What about you, Elliot?
Yeah, any words?
What's that?
Anything else?
Nah, I'm good.
All right.
Actually, let's one more question. Who do you think is, you said the pre-Mamba era and the post-Mamba era.
Mamba,
Who do you
everybody
think-
got named.
What was that?
Yeah, keep going, keep going.
Who do you think is like a good player comparison now for a pre-Mamba and then a post-Mamba player comparison?
It's tough to say because post Mamba is like one of the greatest of all time.
What is post-Mamba again? That's post what period? Post
That's like it's post 2000.
okay, got you.
It's like
Wait,
2000.
post-Mamba, are we-
What's up?
I'm sorry, clarifying question. Post Mamba, are we saying that's 2000, 2004? Or
No, 2010.
that's post Mamba?
Yeah,
Got you.
it's prior Achilles injury.
Got you. Got you. Is that what you meant, Eli?
Yeah.
It's tough. I'm trying to think because not that many players come off like the bench and then become the best player on the planet. Like
Really
Giannis.
good.
Giannis is a good example because he had a
Sure.
few years where he was not at Giannis, and now he's Giannis. But
He was like a different player. Like he
yeah.
really he's funny. He could shoot and he couldn't shoot, and now he can actually shoot again. But he was like some skinny guy that shot pull up threes and played
Mhm.
defense. But now he's like the man in the NBA,
Yeah.
best player in the world, pretty much.
Jordan Poole? Is that a good one?
What was he
Actually,
doing?
yeah.
last year?
He has. Did you hear? Like he talks so much trash, and like his mentality is just like
Mhm.
Kobe. Yeah,
He does actually. He actually is a good player comparison because he maybe Tatum too. Both of them take like terrible shots sometimes, just like Kobe.
Yeah.
But they have the ability to make them. I'm going with. Jason Tatum hasn't been good though. That's the thing. So yeah, Jordan Poole might be good comparison.
Tim's all NBA, so yeah, it's kind of hard. It'd be hard to give him that one.
All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go next. I have because I want Eli's one to be last. 'Cause I think that one's gonna be the one that has the most discussion.
like you're
Uh,
gassing it out. I have not prepared anything, but
That's fine.
we'll roll with it.
Well, I think we all know enough off the top just to talk
Yeah,
about it.
true.
All right. So QBA versus QB. You guys tell me who's won. Can you guys see this? I don't know what you guys can see.
I
No.
can see QBA
Oh,
with like
let me
buys,
stop sharing.
offers, MVPs.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And you can see a bunch of stats.
I see buy, all pro, MVPs.
Okay, so I'm gonna go through them real quick, okay? But you guys just look at them, see how I feel. QBA versus QB. Buys, when I say that, I mean their team was good enough to get the 1 or the 2 seed. The only reason I said I didn't put 1 or 2 seeds is because of this year where the 1 seed only gets the buy. But
gotcha.
these guys played in comparative times to where that's not really that big of a factor. But I did just want to put it like this just in case like that is something people cared about. But QBA, his team's been good enough to get a buy 3 times. QB's been good enough to get it 2 times. QBA has gotten 2 all pros, 1 on first team, 1 on second team. Same thing with QBB. They both have 1 MVP. But if you guys are wondering whose MVP was better, I think it's QBB's. I think it's close. They're both historically great MVPs, but QBB's is a little bit better in my opinion. That's QBB though. But QBA is the one that has a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP. QBB hasn't gotten there yet to winning a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And then playoff wins, QBA has 8 and QBB has 7. So just based off this, who do you guys think is the better quarterback?
Oh wait, go back. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let me see this. I mean, it's got to be A, but I know it's gonna be like some random guy off the street, or not a random guy off the street, but it's gonna be like a historic. B is gonna be historic, and A is just gonna be some random guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
But looking at the stats, A looks like the best for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I would also agree. Just Super Bowl MVP in a ring. Like that's a
Okay.
big thing.
That's a big one for you, right?
Let me guess who A is. Is A Joe Flacco?
No.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys have Eli? Do you have any guesses?
For A,
Let me tell you guys
Uh,
this. You guys can't guess B. Like you guys won't be able to get it in your lives.
Is it-
I was
is
gonna
this
guess, I was
like-
gonna guess B is like a Dan Marino, but keep going.
You know, it's not B, but that's a good guess though, actually. But
yeah, I was gonna say Dan Marino too for B too, but
Mhm.
wait, so these are like all-time quarterbacks, or just like now?
it depends how you look at them. They can end up as all-time quarterbacks, but they're currently in the league.
Oh, they're
Oh,
currently
currently.
playing. Okay,
Yeah.
got you. 1 Super Bowl. That's not Matthew Stafford, is it? No,
Nah.
he doesn't. He doesn't have an MVP.
No, it's
Oh,
it's
that's Matt
gotta
Ryan.
be.
No, he doesn't have. Matt Ryan win Super Bowl MVP?
It's gotta either be Mahomes or Rodgers.
Okay, so you're right. QBA is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
That's
Wow,
great.
okay.
You guys remember QBB?
Let me guess. Now that I know it's a current player, can you go back?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was. I thought they were all like. I thought it was all time players, but current
All right.
player.
Go ahead.
One MVP. Who has not won a chip? Let's see.
7 wins too is the big thing. Like Matt Ryan is a good guess.
Oh, because he has an MVP. Yeah.
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 It's gonna be some like backup quarterback.
It's Mark Sanchez.
I completely switched my answer from before because Mahomes is like an all-time QB, not some scrub.
Let me
Oh
see that.
yeah.
All right. So not anyone in the
Playoff
East,
wins.
not anyone in the South, not anyone in the North because Rodgers has a ring. Could be no. Matt Stafford has a ring, so not him. Not anyone else in the West. Could be Russell Wilson. No, he doesn't have MVP. So Deshaun is an option because Deshaun probably has an MVP. I don't know if he actually does, but he's never had a good team, so no.
You guys give up?
Let me get one.
I give up, but
I'm gonna have one more guess. That's it.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, you're fine.
In the West. I was about to say Carson, but definitely not Carson.
He
Yeah, I don't
almost
know.
had an MVP.
7 playoff wins.
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? All right, ready? Quarterback A is Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Okay. Now you guys ready for quarterback B?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Quarterback B, the Q is the stats for quarterback B are from, and you guys agree quarterback A is better. The stats from the resume from quarterback B is from Lamar Jackson
Who's thinking Lamar? But he got 7 playoffs.
and Josh Allen.
Oh,
Wait,
that makes sense.
and Justin Herbert. Wait, and Joe Burrow. That when you add up their resumes in those 6 total categories, this is the comparison you guys get to them to Patrick Mahomes. All right.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, like just think about that.
Mhm.
Mahomes' resume compared to theirs. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing so we can see each other. And all right, I'm gonna go to my little doc thing just so I can look at that. All right. So let me just clarify something real quick. I'm not saying Mahomes is better than all of them combined because I know like that like with comparisons like this, it's like, oh, like are you saying he's better than all? Like, yeah, like no, I'm not saying he's better than all of them combined. If you combine them, they're astronomically better than Patrick Mahomes. But I am saying that all of these guys over the last 3 years have been compared to, and most of them I've heard takes for each of them being put over Patrick Mahomes over the last 3 years. And that's not something I think should happen until one of these guys alone can have a resume that compares to that of Mahomes. They can catch up, but they're not there yet. Mahomes has had great weapons, but he's also had really bad defenses, bad O-lines. He's had his woes, and so have these other guys. The only guy who like legitimately gets a pass from all this is Justin Herbert because like the guy's legitimately had a horrible team for.
What about Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow's receiving core has been amazing. Like I don't
He's only had 1 year.
He's only had 1 year. I agree with that, right? Like, but the thing with Joe Burrow is for me, and he's a great player with a horrible line. My thing is though, I think that Joe Burrow's the surrounding pieces for Joe Burrow in his sophomore year were better than the surrounding pieces for Patrick Mahomes in his sophomore year. I think that Mahomes had a slightly better O-line. His O-line was not great. He had 2 good tackles, a horrible interior. I think that he's never had a run game. Joe Burrow has Joe Mixon.
Mm-hmm.
He's never, aside from Tyreek, Sammy Watkins always been injured. McColl's never been that consistent, and he's had a bunch of other scrubs out there. He's had Tyreek and Travis Kelce, but Joe Burrow's had Jamar Chase, who's a legit weapon. T. Higgins, who's one of the best number 2s in the league, and Tyler Boyd. If Tyler Boyd's your number 3, you're stacked. He's a legit number 2. He could be he's better than some number 1 receivers. Like he'd be the number 1 for Trevor Lawrence if he went out there. Good.
I was gonna say, what about Mahomes also has maybe a top 15 coach of all time with him.
He does. And I do give him that credit. But my other thing is this, right? Like I'll give that to him. But just their sophomore years, I think that Mahomes has been better. He does have the better coach. I actually did not prepare an argument for that. But I think that when you look at what Mahomes played with, this is something that a lot of people don't really remember about his 2018 year. He lost that team went 12-4. In 3 of those losses, Patrick Mahomes put up over 30 points. and in the one playoff loss they had, he also put up 30 points. He lost 4 games that year where he put up 30 points. I'm saying, like, that's how bad his defense was. Like, if any other quarterback has that kind of defense that's bad, they're not making the playoffs. Forget having a winning record, forget winning an MVP, forget making it to the AFC Championship or Conference Championship. They're not getting that far. He did. And yeah, he has a great offensive coach and good weapons, but I think that anytime there's a bot, they had the second worst rated defense that year. So for me, yeah, he had a great offensive guy. The guy on the defense was not doing his job. like if you have 4 losses in which you lost 30, like there's an issue out of your control that's stopping you from winning. And that's what it was for Patrick Mahomes. And that same year is the year that they lost in the coin toss. And like that's what it is for me. I just don't think any of these guys should be compared to him until they have a standalone resume. They can get there, and Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are significantly younger, so they can get there. But I just don't think it's fair to put them over him now. Mahomes has had one of the greatest starts in history.
Mm-hmm.
They've had good starts. I think if you're a fan of the Chargers, the Bengals, you should be excited because you're going to get a ring eventually. But they're not there yet. Mahomes has been there. He's shown regular season dominance and postseason. Like he's been amazing in both. Joe Burrow, he hasn't had that amazing regular season yet. He's had a good regular season where he's a top 5 quarterback, but he's never been head above shoulders for everyone else. Mahomes has done that. He's almost done it twice. He came up runner up not last year, but the year before when Rodgers won it. So that's what my argument is. That's my take, is that they shouldn't be compared to him until they have a standalone resume. Like their resumes combined don't compare. Like is a little bit worse. A standalone it's not really fair to put them over him yet.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's mostly like the media. They have certain narratives and they push them, and they just get like to become like a prisoner of the moment. And they say, "Oh, Herbert had one good game," or Joe Burrow went to a Super Bowl, had a great playoff run, so all of a sudden he's going to be better than Mahomes. It's just like, I don't know. I guess
when you're saying better,
when it's your job.
When you're saying better, do you mean better right now or better overall?
Who don't do
both?
Better. I guess I think both actually.
I would say
I think there's always an argument to be made about better right now, right? Like in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers is nowhere near Tom Brady all time or overall. But last year, it's hard to see what Rodgers does and say like, oh, he's not better than Tom Brady is right now.
I guess since I am looking at the past and looking at previous tests, I guess it's fair to say my thing is looking at better overall. But I get what you're saying. So like,
and I would say that's what most comparisons are, right? Like they're right now he's better. Like I don't think anybody is legitimately going to say, oh, Lamar Jackson is better than Mahomes. But like you see the play and you're like, oh, right now he might be better than Mahomes. Like I think it's like Eli said, it is a prisoner of the moment thing, but I think that's what the comparison is made about.
The only reason I disagree on that is because maybe that's how some people put it, but I've also heard the take that if those quarterbacks were in the situation of that of Mahomes, they'd be as or more successful than him, and that's where I stand. And that's when it becomes an overall thing. So that's why I disagree with it, because I've heard people say that if Lamar was there or Josh Allen were there, they probably would have won more, which I think is crazy. Like, yeah, he hasn't had some great games, but he's legitimately for the first 3 years, they were winning because of him. Like legitimately, I don't think that they would have had another non-Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, or Tom Brady quarterback that could do what he did.
No, that's fair. I'm cool with that take.
Elliot,
what was the question?
Are you cool with the take? Like, do anything to add before we go to your one?
Nah, I think I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, this is actually we're actually going by faster than I thought, which is good because like this is the take that's going to take the longest. So I think
I'm interested to hear the take.
Yeah.
I think you already know my take, Nate. But yeah, a little backstory.
Just so we have it on recording.
Just so we have it on recording. Exactly. Yeah. We can look back in the future and just realize that I'm right. Everything I say.
I think he's going to be selling insurance.
And so, what was that?
We're going to have to rename this a State Farm podcast because that's what my friend is going to work for.
True. But yeah, so me and Nate have a bet currently. Started about a year ago when Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones were drafted. And we decided we both had like very different opinions. And I think even in college, like I was looking at Trevor Lawrence, and I'm not a football guru. I can't look at a quarterback and like know when he's great or going to be bad in the NFL. But certain comparisons were being made. They're saying, oh, everybody tank for this guy. Trevor Lawrence is going to change the franchise. Whoever gets him, Jaguars get him. And I'm like, you know what, Nate, I don't think he's going to be that good. And I stand by that today. And then so we eventually decided to come to a bet where basically it's like an entire career-long bet that whoever has a better career than like if Mac Jones has a better career than Trevor Lawrence, then Nate buys me dinner and vice versa. So
Wait,
like
I
it's
thought
like
it was a 10-year bet.
Is it 10 years? Oh, it might be
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's the backstory. And we both are almost have diverged. We've gotten even stronger in our opinions since. So
More polarized.
yeah.
Can I explain my side of the story?
Good.
Sure, go ahead.
I am a football guru. I am an oracle, so I can see into the future. So yeah, but so I mean, I wasn't like high on Trevor Lawrence. I said he would be good, and I was low on Mac Jones. Whereas I think we've both been flanderized. Eli doesn't think Trevor Lawrence is going to be awful, but you think that Trevor Lawrence is not going to have as good of a career as Mac Jones.
Yeah, exactly. It was basically like it wasn't like I don't fully believe in Mac Jones like 100%, but I'm just like it's like the first guy. It's like, oh, I pointed this guy's gonna have a better career than him. That's basically what it was.
Yeah, and it's, to me, I was super low on Mac Jones. So it's not my faith in Trevor Lawrence; it's my lack of faith in Mac Jones.
All right, so we have differing ways we get to our opinions, but it's still opposites.
It's still a bet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess I won't talk about college because there's so many things, so many factors that have to transfer over. They both are champions. They both have proved themselves, and they both are worthy to be like first round picks. So I don't think we can argue that, can we?
I do.
I was trying to get you.
Mac Jones is a national champion, but I don't think he was a consensus first round pick coming in. I think it was legitimately a surprise that Bill Belichick got him in the first round. Because I thought it was like,
he fell to 15th spot. I saw that's what it was.
It could have been that. I guess more of the surprise that of all the teams to get him, it was the Patriots.
Yeah, that's fair. But I guess I'll first talk about the past season. Yeah, he had a great season. Well, I would say for a rookie, he had like a top tier season for a rookie you could have. So first off, you start off and you're in this weird QB situation where Cam Newton, who you don't really know if it's good or bad, comes in, and then you have Mac Jones, a rookie, who some people just don't believe in, and he beat him for a job. He beat him so bad it wasn't even like up in the air. He kicked him off the team. They cut him. An MVP quarterback. They cut MVP quarterback. And the mastermind behind that, Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick, you look at them and like they know their football, and they made that decision on Mac Jones. So like people these great coaches who have been around for a long time have had good success. They made this clear-cut decision, no up in the air. So they saw something and they believed in him. As you go through the season, like I would say he had a really, really solid rookie season. Like it's going to show a lot of promise for the future. He made the Pro Bowl. He made the playoffs, all that. Winning season. So yeah, I think I won't go into it too much to compare like first year seasons, just because, I mean, you have to give it to Trevor Lawrence. He didn't have the greatest coaching situation or players at that. Yeah, a little touchy in there. But yeah, so I won't go into it too much, but it's very clear that there's a gap between even team coaches, whatever aside. I think I'll throw one stat at you before I move on to the future, but I think Pro Football Focus like named Mac Jones as the 15th best player in all the season, which is like, that's pretty good for a rookie to be like above average quarterback. There's probably like, I don't know how many QBs there are in the league, but being 15th as a rookie out of everyone, that's amazing. Probably the highest rated rookie actually for quarterbacks. And then can you guess what Trevor Lawrence was at?
Because I think that he was actually.
What was that?
I use I look at Pro Football Focus a lot for like when looking at other teams and stuff. I'm pretty sure I do remember him being the highest grade rookie.
Yeah, there it is. But can you guess what Trevor Lawrence was at?
Out of quarterbacks or out of rookies?
Quarterbacks.
I would guess 30th.
He had more
Lower.
interceptions than touchdowns, so I think I'd guess that too. Actually, yeah.
All right, 32nd.
Lower.
What?
Yeah.
34th.
34. There's better backup quarterbacks out there. The greatest
That's
are
fair.
a world-changing prospect, #1 overall pick. There's better backup quarterbacks had a better year. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
because I remember Mike Davis had the one good game. The guy for the Jets, like he came on and like ballistic for one game.
yeah. So
That's no
maybe it's a little bit of low sample size for guys like that, but
Mhm.
it's still like, yeah, your 34th best quarterback. That is bad. And like, no matter how like bad your team is, you should be able to at least push it up like a little bit, I think. And if you're gonna be like this generational guy who's gonna like have an amazing career, it's got to be a little better than that. So that's all I'll go into the past. Do you guys have anything you want to add to that before I move on to the future?
I got 3 things.
All right, go
Three.
ahead.
Jesus.
First,
I
you
made a
brought
list.
up,
He's gonna pull up a PowerPoint again.
He was ready.
First, you brought up Josh McDaniels and how he knows what he's doing. All I want to point out is that take away Tom Brady, Josh McDaniels has had a terrible career besides Tom Brady. He went to Denver and got fired almost immediately. Was supposed to go to New England. I mean, not New England, Indianapolis, and in the end, he decided to decline it. He hasn't had a top like 5 offense, 10, sorry, top 5, top like 15 offense since Brady. I think if you take away Brady, I don't know if he's ever had a top 15 offense. And even with Brady, a lot of times he didn't have a top 15 offense.
That's good. So are you saying he's not a good coach?
I'm saying he's not really that good of an offensive coach, but he's been carried by having Bill Belichick, who is the greatest defensive coach of all time, and by having Tom Brady, who is the greatest quarterback of all time.
Well, that's a great point for me then, because he's gone. So Mac Jones did that, made the playoffs with that guy as head coach. He's gone, and now it's going to
How do you
be
spin this to your point?
no, because he's
No,
he's out.
I'm
Now there's
laughing because
somebody
sorry,
better
I'm not disagreeing with you. There. I'm just laughing that you actually made it a positive, which I think is cool. Like I'm
Oh,
just like,
oh,
shit.
okay.
definitely
He's
gone,
not the
and I
best
haven't
judge
been back.
of quarterback talent. So we'll see this year how Mac Jones performs. But my second point, you
Well,
talked about.
can I
like,
respond to your point real quick, Nate?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just, like a quick little assertion, right? Like, I get it. Without Tom Brady, he's been pathetic. Can't this say again? I think Bill Belichick's the greatest coach of all time. That's my thing. I don't think it's close. I don't think number 2 is close. Whoever you want to put it, probably Bill Walsh, right? But you can say the same thing about Bill Belichick, can't you? Without Tom Brady there, his resume has been pitiful. He's had more losing seasons in his one playoff game since Tom Brady left. He got the rocks blown off the like. They didn't lose that game because of Mac Jones. They lost the game because of Bill Belichick. They scored on every fucking drive, a touchdown on every single drive. You know how crazy that is? On every drive, it's like some
I will
teams don't
say-
score 3 a game.
That game is more on Bill, but Mac Jones didn't play well either. Like they
No,
if
but
Bill
what I'm
had
saying is
played
like,
well, if Bill had done a good job coaching, they still would have lost that game.
no, okay. Well, that's what I'm saying though. I'm saying like for the Josh McDaniels not being great thing was that he's been carried by Tom Brady. That he's had Brady in the picture. A lot of his things come from his time with Tom Brady, which is 20 years, right? Can't the same be said about Bill Belichick?
I would
And
say
if you-
he went 11-5 with Matt Castle too, though. Bill Belichick.
Who?
And he went 10-6 or 10-7 with Mac Jones. I think that is up as my
But
argument.
Mac's an all-time great. That's what we're talking about here.
Exactly.
My second point, you talked
Go ahead.
about my second point. I know this is you've heard me say this, but I'm going to bring up Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was atrocious his first year.
Yeah.
He had more picks probably than Trevor Lawrence did. He ended up being one of the goals. So I would say the first year is not enough as a sample size. So we'll see. The book is still out on both. Well, I will admit Mac Jones clearly had a better year than Trevor Lawrence did. But that brings me to my final point, and I'm going to use an analogy.
Hold on, can I address the Tom Brady or the Peyton Manning thing real quick?
Hmm?
Yeah, so like I hate that argument because there's like think about how many people who have had bad seasons
Yeah, no, that's
that ended
true.
up being nothing. There's that way overweighs like
No,
the amount of
that's
people
true.
who have had a bad season. That's like a rare outlier. So I don't think you can really use that as like an argument because I think it's set up now. You have like if you were to do like the quarterback A, quarterback B situation, and you would like put similar numbers up with those, and then like seeing whose careers were similar with the
Yeah.
same stats, guarantee you Mac Jones being quarterback A would have like great names with him versus Peyton Manning might be the only guy in that whole category that actually ended up being like a Hall of Famer.
I would actually be interested to see that only because I think one thing that you have to look to is like, in order to be that bad, you've got to be put in that kind of position that many times, which means you have a lot of faith on your shoulders. So like, in my opinion, I would be willing to bet that like quarterbacks who throw that many picks are weirdly better than quarterbacks who still have a lot of picks, but not as many, if that makes sense. Like by having that many picks, it means that you're the only guy on the team. Like you are asked to do everything. So like you have a higher chance of making it than somebody who just has 15 picks and has a bad year because they're just probably bad. But in that case, you might like you've definitely had a bad year by throwing that many picks, but that means that you've thrown the ball. I would be willing to bet Trevor Lawrence probably threw the ball like maybe 100 times more than Mac Jones did.
Yeah, he definitely threw the ball. There's that. Remember that one game that
Two
Mac Jones
passes.
threw the ball like 2 times.
times.
They won the game, but that was
Yeah.
that probably wasn't the greatest play calling. But I
Mhm.
mean,
No, they won the game though.
No, yeah,
They won the game. Yeah,
They won the game.
But
Yeah.
that brings me to just my final point, and that is I just want to like bring an analogy.
Wait,
Like, you
wait. Could I respond to Eli's take? I'm sorry.
you
Yeah,
can't let him finish.
Yeah, my bad. What's it called? Oh, going back to your thing about like the quarterbacks with bad starts, I think when those quarterbacks throw a lot of interceptions, Nate does bring up a good point with them not being around a lot of people. A lot of teams that draft quarterbacks have a top 3 pick, meaning you're one of the 3 worst teams in the league. Like they usually go into horrible surroundings anyway. Mac Jones went to a really good surrounding. Like he went to New England, so I do. see
Did he
people
though? New England was like set up to fit, like basically invested all of their assets to like win now with Tom Brady. They did not really set themselves up for the future, but they got together really quickly. But they were kind of like the Rams. They went all in. They built all these guys. They didn't really have a lot of cap space. They weren't planning for the future, and all of a sudden they have 1 year after a bad year, they're making the playoffs, going 10-7. Like I
they
think
were
that's pretty
7. No,
impressive.
they were what 8-8 last year, 7-9. Like they were not a bad team by any stretch.
With Cam Newton, I don't think they were that good.
I think they were 7. I'm gonna look it up. I think they were 7-9.
I also want to say, like, as bad as New England was supposed to be, due to Bill Belichick being there and him still being that all-time great coach, they were really good still. Like that defense, I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
7-9.
7-9. Yeah. Yeah, and they were in a rebuild year this year, which making the playoffs makes Mac Jones look better. Makes Mac Jones look even better. But that defense was top 3 this year. That O-line was a top 5 O-line this year. Like they don't have the weapons for it, but they have a pretty good surrounding there, and they're one of the best run by committee teams ever. Like they've never really been known for star running backs. They build a committee and they consistently have good run games.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that he had a pretty good surrounding around him.
And that your point actually brings me to my final point.
Good.
That is like bringing up an analogy. It's like you take a kid and you put him in like a terrible situation. Like obviously they're going to perform worse on tests, right? Now they might not necessarily be a worse student. They're just put in such a bad situation that they have no shot at like performing well on a test. Whereas you take a kid and like he might not be the smartest kid. You give him all the right prep material. You give him the best teaching. You give him the best materials, and he might score all right. And that's kind of my belief about Mac Jones. You give him all this is his ceiling. Like this is about as good as he's going to be. He's not really going to become this crazy player. Trevor Lawrence has an incredibly high ceiling, and we saw what happens when you take a player on a bad team and you basically tell them, "Hey, it's all on you." They start pressing. It's the Mamba mentality. They start pressing, and most likely they're going to fail. In order to be successful with this type of situation, there's a reason why. Like, I'd be willing to bet the vast majority of quarterbacks who go to a team with 3 or less wins don't eclipse 500 the next year. Like Andrew Luck is maybe the only player who I think can do it. Who I think has done it in the past 20 years.
Yeah,
I'm trying
not
to
many
think
teams, I don't think.
Wait, so you're saying in their rookie year they have a winning record, or in the sophomore year?
The rookie year, so they have to play them. Obviously, if they get more pieces in the following years, they have a better chance. Like Rodgers, even though he eventually got to play and he had a better team. But if you come in as a rookie from a 3-win or less team, you have no shot unless there was a serious injury to a great player.
I think the only other guy that I'm not sure actually. Did Jared Goff do that?
They were actually not bad that year.
Yeah, so Jared Goff might be the only other guy, but that's more because of Sean McVay type shit. But I think Jared Goff fits that actually, yeah. But okay, aside from them, yeah, I get your point.
All right. Anybody else want to add anything before I move to the future?
That's all I got.
Oh, I forgot you still have more. My bad, Eli. I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought you were done, but yeah, go ahead, bro.
No, dude, when I was just listening, I was like collecting thoughts that I'm gonna form this actually an argument for the future now. So this should be good.
Good.
Interested to hear your guys' take.
Right.
But I don't know if you guys have seen, but like a lot of reports have been coming out that like people are excited about Mac Jones. Like they're saying this year, like I think voluntary practices have happened, and like they're saying this guy has like a whole new energy this year. Like his receiver came out and said like he's an amazing leader, like Tom Brady level leadership. Like he's coming and he's actually trying
Who
to make
said
a change.
Who
One of the
lied?
receivers.
It's like,
I swear, no. Maybe,
I don't think
maybe
there's
he
a
didn't-
receiver who was
maybe
there
he
for
didn't
Tom
jump
Brady.
Tom Brady, but he said very good leadership, and it made it to like the sports talk channel. So it was a big deal. It was his main receiver. I forget his name, but
Is it Nelson Aguilar?
no, that's not him.
I was gonna say, I hope it's not Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, but yeah, he has this. This is one thing that I didn't even expect. Like I put money on him, but I did not even think this was part of the equation that ended up working for him. But like his whole energy, like you can tell people want to rally around him. Like he's very, you can tell he's like super passionate, super positive. And they say it's especially this year. So of course his own teammates are going to say good things about him, but it's not always people come out about his leadership and say he's really like doing his thing, which is awesome to hear. And I think that like he's serious about football too. Like there was some point last year where he wanted to like go on a talk show, or no, he wanted to go on the Peyton Manning broadcast. He was so serious about football. He like asked Bill Belichick first, and he was like, "No, you can't do it." And then he went back and was like, "All right, I won't do it." That's how serious he is about like progressing and being like a staple of Patriots franchise. And I think, yeah, for as long as he stays at the Patriots franchise with Bill Belichick there, pretty much always a successful head coach in the NFL, I think going forward, like it's just going to work out really well for him. Another thing, I also saw today that he like lost a lot of weight. I know, Nate, you like to make fun of him for his belly, but the man, apparently he lost like 30 pounds. So that's another thing, that maybe he moves a little quicker. Maybe he's more mobile. Maybe he works on his arm strength this year.
He's sneaky mobile though. That's the thing that we've known. He's been sneaky mobile throughout his career.
He is sneaky mobile.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, but yeah. So I think, and then one more point. I'm just spitting random facts, but the last one I'll say is like Mel Kiper, like he's like the really good analyst for ESPN, knows a lot about football. He said that Mac Jones is like one of the greatest football minds. He said that in an interview like a month ago, which is crazy. So yeah, all that combined, I think the future for the Patriots, it's gonna be awesome. And I think like, yeah, Jacksonville has a new coach in Doug Peterson, who I'm super high on, obviously, as an Eagles fan, but I don't think that it's gonna be enough. I don't think he's gonna be a coach that's gonna be there for 10 years to really. He's probably gonna help with development, but I think who's going to have a more stable environment for the next 10 years? Definitely the Mac Jones and the Patriots over the Jags, because it's just the Patriots are built to be like a stable franchise, and the Jags might be on the opposite end of the spectrum. So, yeah, that's my argument for the future.
So here's what I'll say to that. One, with the leadership thing, first of all, I'll address the weight loss. That's good for him. I didn't know that, and that actually I think will make a difference. But as far as the leadership thing goes, I do think it's an important trait, but leadership only matters when you have the tangibles. Like there are a few different examples of players who don't have all the tangibles, but have the leadership aspect, but most of them are like once in a lifetime stories. Nick Foles, somebody I love. You saw what happened. Like 90% of the time, Nick Foles is not a good quarterback. Not even not a good quarterback. He's not a starting quarterback in the league. But there is that 10% of the times where he can be magical because of his leadership. So I do think the leadership thing helps. I don't think it'll be the reason why he's better than Trevor Lawrence. I think if he's going to be better than Trevor Lawrence, it's going to be because of the way he develops as a passer. And that brings me, I guess, to my biggest like gripe on Mac Jones is his lack of he has one of the weakest arms I have ever seen from an NFL prospect. And so that's like Drew Brees is the only exception I can think of a quarterback who is able to be good with a weak arm. So, and Drew Brees. Alex Smith is a solid example. I would say, look, but my comparison as far as career was, Alex Smith is Mac Jones' ceiling. Not as the type of player, but his success.
Oh.
That was the way I saw it. So to me, if he becomes Alex Jones, I think that's him like completely improving as a passer. He could become him, Alex Smith. Sorry, I don't want to say Alex Jones.
You're
He
good.
could become Alex Smith, but even then, I still think Trevor Lawrence is a higher ceiling than that. So all I'll say, if he improves as a passer, I will get a look. That's where my confidence is going to get shaken. He just has such a weak arm. Jalen Hurts is another player. I love Jalen Hurts. I don't have confidence in him being like a great player. And I still think he can be a successful player because he's in a good system, just like Mac Jones. He has good intangibles. He's a fantastic leader. He just doesn't have the arm strength and the arm talent to really be a generational player. Trevor Lawrence does. That's the one thing. If Mac Jones improves as a passer this year, oh yeah, I'll be a little worried because that's something I don't expect to happen.
So you made an argument about upside. Wouldn't you argue that Mac Jones has a greater upside then? Because you can develop an arm, but we've already seen Trevor Lawrence's arm. He has a great arm. We've seen it.
Yeah,
he's pretty accurate, but they didn't win. They got 3 wins.
But that's the thing. You can develop an arm, but you can develop the football mind. Like Tom Brady didn't start out being one of the smartest NFL
I think it's
players.
you don't think it's the opposite?
Absolutely
I
not.
think it's the opposite. Really?
Like there's a reason why when quarterbacks are drafted, they're drafted purely on arm talent, not purely on smarts.
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, like he literally went on his knees and did like a 60-yard throw. And people were like,
Those
he's a
80s.
first-round pick. But like, what's the name? What's the guy who just retired? Ryan Fitzpatrick. He got like a 50 on the Wonderlic test. He's from Harvard. He was like a 6th-round pick. Like he had all of the, and he actually has a solid arm, but he had all of like the intangibles. He's probably the smartest quarterback we may have seen. And he just doesn't have the tangibles.
Is he? I think he called. I don't know if he's that smart. Today he called Peyton Manning better than Brady.
I don't agree with
Yeah,
that.
I don't know if that Harvard education's working.
But
too well.
just based on like quarterback IQ, I think you can always develop somebody's like ability to make decisions. And just like me and you have this argument. Well, not argument. We have the same belief where it's like you can take a genius. You can't train someone to be a genius, but you can train a genius to like make better decisions because that just comes with experience and time. Like there's a reason why quarterbacks get better at decisions. Generally, they don't get better with their arm. Like there are a few examples of quarterbacks, but those are like completely changing the motion. It's not that they improve like their strength or like their ability. They completely have to rework everything, which I don't see Mac Jones doing because he has been successful already.
One of the, going to the intelligence thing actually, I remember it might have been a month ago now, but they had like an IQ rating for all starting 32 quarterbacks. The guy who was lowest on the 32 quarterbacks one was actually Lamar Jackson, who's like an MVP caliber quarterback.
Yeah.
And like, I just think that's interesting.
He doesn't really. Does he have an arm either? He doesn't really have an arm either. does
He actually has a really powerful arm. He's not accurate though.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He's got some strength in there.
Yeah.
He's like Mike Vick.
Yeah.
All right, so I do have 3 things, but I want to let you guys go first if you got anything else to add.
That's all I got.
Yeah,
I got
my,
it off my chest. Yeah.
my first one's actually, I want to clarify your bet a little bit. Not clarify. I'm curious about it, and I want you to say something. Based on after the first year, with 9 years left in the bet, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are each of you that you'll win this bet?
10. Easy.
10. You don't think you'll lose?
I'm not gonna lose.
Okay.
I'm
We'll
going on
run
one from
this
a 10
podcast
last.
back in 10 years and at the steakhouse when Nate's paying my check.
And that's
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that.
the outcome of the bet. I
What
was
was
there
that?
last year. That's the outcome of the bet. Steak dinner with the family.
Steak dinner. That's right.
Can I come?
With the family.
Sure.
Right.
You got to marry in though.
Huh?
You got to
I'm
marry
already
in.
in. Well, I can't come as an esteemed guest. But what's it called? Yeah. But what's it called? Nate, what did you say? How confident were you?
I said I went from a 10. I'm probably 8.
An 8 now. Oh, so you're still pretty confident.
I'm still confident.
Trending downward, Nate.
Mm-mm.
Right now. Okay. So I do want to have. So I have a take, but I want to like talk about what leads me to think like this first, right? Eli, you actually touched on this earlier that the Patriots are a stable, great all-time franchise, and Jacksonville just isn't. I think that if you had these 2 quarterbacks on similar franchises, I think Eli would be crazy to take this bet. I don't think this will be a close bet. I think Nate
I'm
will
not
win,
gonna
like,
argue that at all. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna argue that at all. But
Yeah,
it's like overall, like who's gonna have like a better career? Actually, another. Sorry, you can finish your point. I was
No,
just
you're
gonna
good. Good.
One more term of the bet. It was whoever
Super
if
Bowl.
someone wins the Super Bowl first, then automatically bets over. So
But
like
there is a caveat. They can't be a backup on the team that wins the Super Bowl.
that's right.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good point. So if someone's a starting quarterback and wins a Super Bowl, then that bet's over, and that means that that person has to buy the other estate dinner.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that brings me to my thing, right? So like, if they were in like similar situation, like let's say they went to like, I don't know, like the Eagles and I don't know who's a comparable to the, I guess the Saints, right? Like
Steelers. Yeah.
who?
Is that Eagles Steelers or similar franchises?
Oh yeah, over the last couple of years, yeah, that's right. If they went to those two teams, I think Eli was crazy for taking this bet because I think like, oh, they're in similar franchises. One guy is superbly more talented than the other. So I think you'd be great for that. But the thing is, the thing that makes this bet so interesting is one guy is way more talented, but the other guy's on the opposite spectrum when it comes to the team around him. He's playing for an all-time team. It's one of the two best franchises of all time. Whereas Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville's a horrible franchise. Like the thing that with Jacksonville that consistently gets me is they're great at staying consistent and making bad decisions. I was looking at their things every single year, every offseason, there's some kind of move that like gets me confused about them. So like last year was the Urban Meyer hire. Well, that's more of a retrospective thing. Like obviously now we think that's a bad move, but like this year they paid Christian Kirk $21 million. How do you overpay a guy like that? And some people are going to make the argument like, oh, like it's Jacksonville. Who wants to go there? That's another point though. Trevor Lawrence, because he plays Jacksonville, maybe he won't get those other guys who are going to come play with him. Mac Jones, he's in New England. There are guys that are going to want to come and play with Bill Belichick. Guys who want to rejuvenate their careers, get another chance, maybe buy a ring because it's Bill Belichick. That's what you're going to possibly want to do.
I actually disagree with that point, to be honest. I disagree with that point.
Good.
I would say the culture around Bill, not the culture, I don't know the right word is, but like it used to be like, yeah, you're gonna get a guaranteed ring, but you gotta bite the system. Now, because of like the so much success of other systems, it's more loose systems like Doug Peterson, players coach, Sean McVay, players coach, who won the year before, Andy Reid, a huge players coach. I think players are starting to realize like you don't need to be under Bill to win. And more important, not only you don't have to be under Bill, they don't want to be under Bill. So like, and there's a reason why the free agency, like now the Patriots, they lost Gilmore. They don't have a huge free agent.
JC Jackson.
What's up?
You meant
JC
JC Jackson. Yeah. They didn't lose Gilmore. Gilmore was with the they traded him away to Carolina.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But they're not really a huge free agent like draw anymore.
Yeah, but you know how Bill Belichick and the Patriots are. They find some random guys who end up being really good and being like Super Bowl MVP. They bring so many guys in that like I've never heard of that guy before. They did it in the draft this year. They drafted some lineman. Yeah, it was like, who is this guy? Why did they draft him? He's gonna end up being amazing. He's gonna defend Mac Jones for the next decade. He's gonna be an all-pro.
I would say the ship has sailed on Bill being that like able to do that with players. I don't think he could do that anymore. Like I think the player they drafted is going to be a bad pick because Bill always tries to be the smartest guy in the room. And to be honest, he hasn't been the smartest guy in the room in like 5 years.
I think the difference is like, I think with most people when they draft a player, they're trying to get a player with a huge ceiling and maximize that potential and get the most value of them. I don't think that's how Bill Belichick drafts, at least from what I understand. Like the way they draft and the way they look at players, it's, hey, this is something I need you to do. Can you do it? Like they don't really, they're consistently reaching on players, but they're getting players who they know can do the things they want them to do. Like, is Cole Strange going to be an all-pro left guard? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But he's going to be able to do the things he wants. I think that's where I come from with it. So they're never going to have that, like, ultimate, like, assembly thing. And I think a bigger reason, and Nate was saying earlier, they're not a hot free agent destination. The reason they're not a hot free agent destination, all the free agents they get that are, like, considered great that comes to them are guys that have signed minimum deals, right? Antonio Brown, Cam Newton, there was some other really good receiver a couple years ago that signed one. I forget who it was. Didn't Wes Welker go there too?
With Tom, a few that was.
He was on the Patriots. I don't know. Yeah, he was definitely on the Patriots. I don't know if he was on.
Okay, like, Wes Welker. There's some other guys too that like kind of fit that mold of like,
to me that was like the Bill Belichick's prime. I think he's done, to be honest.
Okay, but so okay, that's one thing. But he's never gonna change that about him. He's not gonna overpay for free agents. Jacksonville has made it abundantly clear they're desperate. They're gonna overpay for free agents. They're gonna that's who they are. That's who they are. When Christian Kirk does not deserve the amount of money.
No.
Travon Walker, their first round pick, he broke a record this year for most money on a rookie deal. He's not the best rookie in this class. How's he make so it's one of those things, right? But the other thing comes to me is this: given that the NFL is a hard cap and they're both playing with the same amount of money, Jacksonville's gonna make desperate moves. That's gonna put I think less people that are good around Trevor Lawrence. The New England Patriots, they're not going to overpay people. There's going to be one or two people that are going to be like, maybe they're making a little bit too much money. Most of those players they're going to have good depth. They're going to have good players across the board. They don't really have many holes. Jacksonville, they have a bunch of holes. What's the biggest weakness on New England aside from quarterback? Is a wide receiver? Maybe they just got Devontae Parker. They have two great tight ends, Nelson Aguilar and N'Keal Harry. They're speed demons. They can do their own thing. Their defense every single year with Bill Belichick. During Tom Brady's 20-year career, only 2 times were they not top 10 in scoring defense. They're consistently great on defense. So for me, when you give them when you give one guy that situation and the other guy a situation of Jacksonville, I think that Mac Jones he's going to get more wins just because of that. Like he's in a way better situation. He's going to do that. So it brings me to my next question before I do my take.
Could I bounce off that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So kind of talking about like the financial aspect, I also think that like you were saying, the Jaguars set a precedent. They're like, we overpay for these guys because we can't get anyone to come here at a cheap price. That's going to hold true with Trevor Lawrence and like Mac Jones themselves. Like, even if Trevor Lawrence bumps up to Mac Jones's level in 5 or however many years their contract's done, 4 years,
3 more years,
3 more years. Yeah.
Well, maybe 5 4 if they get the
extension. Yeah. Who do you think, this is an obvious answer, but who do you think has more pressure to be paid the max versus just like a mid deal?
Yeah, no, exactly. Trevor Lawrence is going to get that max
You have
contract.
to justify a first round pick, everything for Trevor Lawrence. You're like, this is our guy. We said this is going to get generational. We have to pay him to keep him around. Mac Jones, it's like we'll keep you around. We like you. You fit the culture, but we're not going to pay you a max deal. Take that money, go put it somewhere else, and build a great franchise.
Exactly. We'll draft.
I'm intrigued to see what his decision is, though, because like I thought the same thing of Carson Wentz, and then he took the max. I thought the same thing of Andrew Luck. He took the max. I like all these quarterbacks who I think are going to take pay cuts. None of them do. So I mean,
Carson Wentz was an MVP caliber. He should have won an MVP. Yeah.
His whole thing is I want to win and I want to do no matter what. And you saw like him taking the max completely handicapped the Eagles. Not completely, but like it handicapped the Eagles a little bit.
It did because he was bad, but it was a team-friendly deal, I'm pretty sure.
So it's one of those things where the max is deceptive. It's a lot of the times they are team-friendly deals, but it's still the max. You still take a huge hit, but a lot of the money is backloaded or middle-loaded. So like Mahomes' deal is considered like a off team-friendly deal. He's still taking a lot of money though.
Yeah.
It's just not as much as he should be taking. That's the thing.
It's because but it's because it's a long deal. It's a 10-year deal. So like years 7 through 10, he's gonna be one of the 10, unless they keep pushing it back, the salary bonus or whatever. Like he's gonna be one of the more underpaid quarterbacks in the 7 through 10 years.
Mm-hmm. But I wonder if Bill is going to put his foot down and say, no, I'm not going to pay you that much. Even if it is a team-friendly deal, he's like, no, I'm not going to pay you $35 million. By then, it would probably be 55 million. That's what my guess would be.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't think that he should get paid a max deal. Like if he should go somewhere else if he wants a max deal.
Hey, what if he does? That's
if he does, then maybe it'll be a little caveat. Maybe you'll be the one. I'll be the one buying you a steak dinner. But I don't think that's gonna happen. But
I thought the same thing with a lot of these players. They all take the max because like not only it's one thing you have pressure from your like people to take the max. You have pressure from the players union to take the max. Like the players union hated Tom Brady for years because he was deserving of the max and he would never take it. And like they tried everything in their power to like convince him because it does hurt the bargaining power of players. Like if you're in New England, you're not going to make more than Tom Brady. So and then that really hurts the players union. So like the players union is going to be in Mac Jones' ear telling him, no, you're going to take the max, take the max, take the max.
Well, because he's like the thing of Tom Brady was justifiable for that max. If Mac Jones continues his career as like a game manager type quarterback, will he have that pressure on him?
I would say so. Like because if he continues to make Pro Bowls like this and continues to be a good player, like the max is the max is no longer like Kirk Cousins got the max. It's like the max is no longer for the best player.
That's true.
Just if you're a solid player and your contract is up, you're getting the max.
To be fair though, like Kirk Cousins, I'm sorry to cut you off, Eli. I was gonna make
you're good. Go ahead.
the thing with Kirk Cousins is I'm pretty sure in that year, aside from Drew Brees, because Drew Brees resigned with the Saints, he was the best QB on the market. That's why he had the negotiating power.
You don't think Mac Jones would be the best QB in the market though? Yeah, like the market. Like,
No. Like,
What's up?
okay, so
I think a team would rather have Trevor Lawrence than Mac Jones, but you have
right, yeah.
but you have to pay that huge premium for the same quarterback.
But you're gonna have to pay the premium for Mac Jones too. Like it's not that
I
Mac
don't
Jones.
know.
Is,
I don't know.
you
I think
think
he's
Dak
gonna be like
Prescott
a
is deserving of
Matthew
Max?
Stafford level player,
Say it again.
and like I think he's gonna be like a Matthew Stafford level player. Like nothing crazy. You don't have to pay it. Did Stafford ever get a max?
I think he did.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
the
did?
Max. The Dak Prescott. I'm telling you, every quarterback who gets their contract up, who is above average or average, gets a
They
max.
get a max.
Yeah,
Okay,
like that's
All right,
just the
fair.
way it is.
Yeah.
Hey, unless it's Tom Brady, and I think Drew Brees is the other exception for his last year.
Yeah.
And again, the players' union did not like that. Like they were
No, but-
very, very frustrated with Drew Brees.
But that's the players' union is one thing. New England just doesn't do that though. New England doesn't pay anyone. Like,
Yeah, well, that's why I'm interested to see what happens when that time, because Dak Prescott, I thought Dak Prescott was completely like a football guy. He's like, no, I'm gonna take a pay cut. He's getting paid like 50 mil.
yeah, no, he's
He
making good money.
held out too. Like he was
Yeah.
like,
And I did
Please
not
pay me,
expect that at
man.
all.
yeah.
But okay, so that's one thing, right? We're talking about Mac Jones right now and whether or not he's gonna get a max. The thing I think the most interesting thing about this bet to me is, right? Let's say it's year 5, Trevor Lawrence is getting a max. He goes back to Jacksonville with a max cap hit.
Yeah. It's
Do
gonna
you
be tough.
guys have any faith that they're gonna be able to put a good team around him?
Probably not.
No.
Yeah, so it's like
No,
I don't know.
not
They're
at
always
all.
gonna hinder him with that. So
And-
that's
and we
that's
know
gonna
the
scare me
number
about him.
too. It's like 12.5%. Any quarterback who makes that much of the market share, it was like they have not won a ring in however many years.
Right, and there are good teams that don't do it. Jacksonville's
Yeah.
not what are they?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like of the 32 franchises, they're in the bottom 2.
I will say I expect Mac Jones to take the max too.
But okay, that's fair.
So I
But-
think the argument like equals out.
But okay, but no, I don't think it does. The only reason is because let's say they both take a max, and
Well-
they're both teams have 200 mil to.
I don't think the
around.
Patriots take the max. I think he leaves. Like that's the thing.
Okay, but okay, let's say he leaves, right? I'm saying Jacksonville is 31 or 32 when it comes to worst franchises in the league.
That's true.
There are 30 teams that are
Yeah,
still a
that's
better
true.
situation than what he's gonna have in Jacksonville.
hmm
Yeah, so I think that's where it comes from for me. So I'm sorry. Did anyone have anything else to say before I make my quick take?
I'm good.
Quick take. I think that this 10-year bet, it can go either way still. And I think it's still up in the air. 9 years is a long time. A lot of things can happen. Trevor Lawrence might not be a Jaguar 5 years from now. Mac Jones might not be a Patriot. We don't know where they're going to be. But I think that because of their situations over the next 3 years and how Jacksonville's offseason progressed this year, I think that at the end of 4 years, Eli's still going to have an advantage in this bet. After 4 years, we'll still be saying Mac Jones has had the better career so far than Trevor
Mhm.
Lawrence because like Jacksonville, they're not going to be in the playoffs next year. They're one of the 3 worst teams in the AFC, and I don't have any faith that even if Trevor Lawrence plays at a Deshaun Watson level, like at a Deshaun Watson level of play, I still don't think they'll make it. They're horrible around it. Like they just
Yeah.
can't build. And over the next 2 years, do you think they'll be able to do that? Maybe, maybe not. But I just don't have faith in that franchise. But New England's consistently been able to just not be desperate and somehow still sneak in overachieve and sneak in. So I think at the end of 4 years,
No,
Mac
that's-
Jones will be the better quarterback.
Here's I guess the two things that kind of go in my favor.
Hmm.
One, the AFC is stacked for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
So that probably could be true, but it won't mean anything. Like the Patriots could have a similar season to last year and miss the playoffs, which I think is kind of crazy. Like they could have 11 wins and miss the playoffs. Mac Jones can improve as a player and they can miss the playoffs just because the AFC is loaded. So both players will miss the playoffs. One, Doug Peterson is there. Hopefully, maybe he won't create a culture change. Maybe he will. I'm not going to speculate. I do agree.
I mean, it'll definitely be a culture change from Urban Meyer.
Yeah, I hope so. So I will say, I think I told you like this. I still expect this year the Jaguars. The goal is 5 wins. The next season after the goal is 7 wins. I think I do agree with you. Year 4 to me is a breaking point. That's where I think they'll equal out as players.
Yeah, because after that, it's all free game because of free agency, 5th-year options.
Mhm.
There might be some guys who say, you know what, maybe I'll go back with my old college teammates. I don't know, right? But the other thing is this, right? And this is the last time I'm going to say, but another really interesting thing about this bet, there's a chance just because he's in Jacksonville that Eli wins this bet due to the fact that Mac Jones can be a game manager for 10 years. Like,
Yep,
if he's a game
exactly.
manager, yeah, like
Yeah.
he just as long as he does it, as long as he makes less mistakes every year, he could have a better 10-year career than Trevor Lawrence just because where Trevor Lawrence was drafted. And I think that's
Yeah,
what's cool about the
that's
bet.
true.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And anyone have anything else to add?
That's all I got.
I think I'm all Mac Jones out.
Now all my Jones out. Okay, fine. So I'm gonna stop recording real quick.